Hi, here I wanted to go one more time into the Nicola Bulley case. Nicola Bulley went missing on the 27th of January after dropping off her two daughters at the local primary school to walk her dog at the River Wye in Lancashire. After an extensive search of the river, she was found on 19th of February in a stretch of the river roughly 1 mile downstream of where she went missing. So shown here. She was found under these bushes almost after months. Note this area was heavily searched before and that this is a shallow, slowly moving river, roughly 2 feet deep only at the bench where her mobile phone and the dog lead were found later. This strange approach taken by the police, such as assuming no foul play from the start and mainly searching the shallow tiny river, bewildered many and drew in many people on social media. There were clear errors made by the police, which I still have not heard acknowledging. The police was looking for dashcam footage on the wrong road at the wrong time, and oddly enough the street name apparently was changed later on Google Maps to match the police's narrative. This was mentioned on the Crimes to Courtroom YouTube channel. The conspiracy theorist, how the media likes to call critically thinking people, now sees the Mandela effect implemented in real time by government and big tech. Another very odd thing done by the police was to release personal information on Nicola Bulley to the public long after the river search led nowhere, apparently to justify the river search in retrospect. It was claimed that Nicola Bulley suffered from menopause issues and drinking problems. Expert diver and rescue expert Peter Faulding was not even given that critical information, which would have altered his search strategy. As for me, I'm a very intuitive, common sense person, and if something does not add up, I can feel it. After I heard the news of her being found in the heavily searched, shallow, slowly moving river, my first impression was that this is not possible. It's that someone must have put us there. To me, it seems completely unbelievable that a mom drops off her two daughters at a primary school, chats with parents, makes a play date, walks her dog in the calming, beautiful nature, joins a team's work call, interacts with people during the walk, and then, when no one is looking, walks into a shallow, muddy, cold river and kills herself. How is it even possible? Based on Peter Faulding's comments on TV, the rare cases of suicide by drowning he encountered before were done by people who drank a lot of alcohol and then took sleeping pills and swam into the ocean. Doing this is not possible in a shallow river with dog walkers around. Second, we see a lot of selfies of Nicola Bulley at the river, here with her black coat, which apparently she was wearing when she got missing, and we always see her with a lot of makeup, even here in nature. So committing suicide publicly on a cold winter day, this is kind of a rough, violent, probably painful event, while normally, I believe, people who commit suicide want to remove the pain, fall asleep, glide away like a dream. Someone with a lot of makeup and sheltered from nature with a hat and a good coat, I don't think wants to walk in a muddy, cold river and somehow drown herself in everything within a few minutes. So in this video, I wanted to briefly look at a few things, using a bit of body language analysis, also physiognomy, judging from the facial features to the character, and just common sense. Okay, let's get started. First, we see a lot of selfies of her, sometimes just her alone and her dog, sometimes also with family or a partner, like in this one. It is a bit odd because that case wouldn't have caused so much attention if there were no good photos going along with it. So we see her a lot in front of this river. So just a note on the side, I assume now this is an actual selfie. Also, the texture is strange. To me, it doesn't even feel like an actual photo. But for now, I assume this is a selfie of her and her partner. Again, we see her with lots of makeup. We see her smiley. We see her mouth corners go up. That's a sign of someone being very optimistic. And she's holding the camera like most of the time. So she's in charge. She's taking ownership of this photo, of this family. Selfies are a little bit like a trophy, a status symbol. And she's very proud of what she achieved in her life and her relationship and family. So we see also this photo a lot, which is very strange. So first I thought this is a selfie of her in front of this bench where the items were found. But this would be really strange, because taking a selfie in front of something is like a trophy, taking ownership. So the bench would have a particular meaning for her, an importance. So that's very strange that she went missing then at this bench. Again, we see her optimism, her mouth corners going up, her makeup, and now she's wearing a different hat in this picture. Then later on I realized this is a really strange selfie, and this is probably a fake one. That the media somehow took a selfie of her and put her in front of this bench to have a nice image going with the news articles. But then it's done cleverly. There's no choppy edges here, so she blends in nicely into this photo. So if that's a fake, then it has been done very well, and it's actually misleading because it's not clear if it's real, which has then some significance with the bench, or if it's a fake. So in either case, it's a significant picture. She was described as a woman wearing a black coat when she was missing, which was seen in one of the photos. But when a photo was shown of her, one could see her with a blue coat. And later on, we see the whole footage from the CCTV camera in front of the house. And we see actually the whole scene. She and her partner getting into the car. Apparently the kids and dog are already in the car and driving to the school. So we see now that she's probably wearing the black coat, but that the colors are fake, that they're distorted. So this looks largely black, but here we see a blue recoloration or decoloration, and here as well, unless he's wearing something blue. So when you saw the little picture of her with the coat, you would have assumed she was wearing a blue coat, when in reality she was wearing a black coat. This is very strange because of this recoloration. Second, if she had mental health issues and drinking problems, then why was she driving? So she's driving again. You can see she's in charge. This doesn't add up with how she was described by the police. Next, we look at Peter Faulding.
For 25 years of doing this type of work and hundreds of cases, I am totally baffled, because the divers normally you would expect put a diver in. People, if they drown, they generally go down where they are. We normally find them within sort of 5 to 10 metres of where they went down, even after a few days. This is the most baffling case I've ever worked on.
You've been widely reported, Peter, as saying that the investigation was a mess and that you're baffled. Do you imply from that, and I'm simply asking the question, do you not believe she's in that river? Do you think there's something else here? We have to be so careful because all these conspiracy theories have been thrown around. What's your professional opinion, Peter?
Yeah, well, just first I never said that the thing was a mess. That was misquoted. There's a lot of speculation from everywhere. The police have done a brilliant job so far. So they've got nothing to...
So Peter Faulding, he is still searching, being baffled, not finding her despite his sonar equipment, an expert diver and search expert. He's clearly upset. We see a bit of anger here as well, showing the teeth. He's bopping around. His reputation is on the line. It's also a bit of a fight response or restless. He's a man of action, someone who gets involved in a mess and solves problems. He's doing the tough work.
Go on, that's the problem. All they've got, Jeremy, is a mobile phone at the moment. I said that it possibly could be a decoy. I worked on a case for Lorna Torn up in Scunthorpe. We found a shoe by the river. We were called in to search the river, but the actual shoe was laid there by the murderer. She was found miles away, buried in a haystack. So this is a totally odd thing. Whether it's a plant, there could be a third party involved, I don't know. It's one of these cases that dragged on, and we, I see a grieving family. I've done this with, other cases like Ellis Downs case in the past where we've recovered the...
See a lot of illustrators. He's moving his hand.
What is your gut instinct, if you don't mind me asking? What's your gut instinct, Peter?
Well, I've got total faith in the police dive team. We work with them all the time. So, I think, Jeremy, after I heard today how the police were here so quickly to search that area where it's believed where Nicola went in, I personally don't think she's in the river. I do not know. It's just unbelievable.
So he's really baffled. The speech is very fluid. We see the body moving along. Everything is in synchrony. He has illustrators. So if there's some misleading of the public, it's not by him. He's completely trustworthy. He wants to find her and he's baffled. So now I think this is after the police came out with a statement claiming that Nicola Bulley has mental health issues.
Thank you for joining us again. I have so much I want to say to you. The first thing is this. You told me last week you searched that river high and low.
So here he shows a bit of anger. He's pointing the finger, or the symbolic finger. He's pointing the pen. And here we see already the demeanor of Peter Faulding changing. In the previous one, we saw him as a man of action, still confident about his abilities. And here now we see regret. So he's compressing his upper lip. That's a bit of concealed anger, but this is more a sign of grief, indicating that things could have been done differently or better.
Why is it that tonight we still hear, allegedly, that Lancashire police still believe that's their main thought, if you want? I don't understand that, and neither does the public, Peter.
He's particularly easy to read, yeah? His mimics is changing in synchrony, in clear response to what he's saying, yeah? He's nodding, he's shaking his head, He's stretching his neck like he doesn't get air. So he's really a mirror of what he's saying.
I'd known this information on day one. I've worked on complex murders and cases, missing people since 1999. If I'd been given that information and I'm trusted, that wouldn't have been handed to the media, it would have been confidential, and I would have changed my whole search strategy. I assumed, Jeremy, that Nicola had slipped into the river and it's only 2 foot deep at the bottom of the bank. And that's why I've been so adamant that she's not in that part of the river. We've thoroughly searched it. If she had jumped in or intended to take her own life or walked off or wherever she is, that would change my whole plan. She could have ended up in the sea. But everything, it's changed this and it's really annoyed me.
In terms of, I read this, tell me if it's wrong, you've faced a barrage of criticism and out of total respect, I think, for the family, you've given your service.
So he's blinking a lot, he's under stress, and again he has a compressed upper lip.
I now read or hear that you're going to be part of a land search, and don't take this the wrong way, I thought your expertise was diving. And again, I would say to you, as I said to Mark, what
If he sees the mimics changing in response.
What does it say about this police investigation that there need to be contractors from outside giving their services for free and coming and helping out?
No, actually, Jeremy, my expertise is I've specialised in land search. I've worked on April Jones. I've worked on the Peter Faulding case. I find buried human remains. So that's where I work. So it's awful. This is an awful case, and I just wish it had been handled a lot better in the first place by giving certain information that would have helped us target our search in specific areas. And if I'd been told on the day that Nicola was high risk, she was vulnerable, then I would have treated my whole search totally different, and we would have looked at potential other areas with all the expertise we've got. We have our own helicopter up there as well, and so I understand that they have to withhold certain information. I understand that, but giving it to me would have assisted the operation a lot easier.
Simon, pretty damning. Both Mark and Peter saying that the comms, certainly, the media approach, has hindered this case. And you touched upon in our first part about what this family are going through. And one can only imagine now, for Paul and his 2 daughters, hearing this, they must be at their wits' end.
So here we see nicely concealed anger. We see him biting the lip. Often there's also the tongue involved on the side of the mouth. Let's look at this again.
And Peter saying that the comms, certainly, the media approach, has hindered this case. And you touched upon in our first part about what this family are going through. And one can only imagine now, for Paul and his 2 daughters, hearing this, they must be at their wits' end.
Yeah, and I think a point that Peter makes there, I think there's another side to that, is that Peter, for all the good intentions he has, is not entitled to that information unless he's been brought in by the police. So you wouldn't give Peter certain information about that. So I don't think that, unless he was brought in as a additional...
But here's my question. Why would they allow him to be brought in if they weren't prepared to give him information to help in the search? What's the point?
I guess you can't stop him if you don't have the area sealed off. That's one of the issues.
Well, let's ask him. Peter, did you do this off your own bat? Or as Simon says, were you... Because you've said, I'm annoyed that I didn't have that information, and Simon is implying that you wouldn't have that because the police didn't ask you or what? I don't know. Help me out.
I was actually being tasked by the police search advisor by Lancashire Police on this job. I was tasked with specific areas. So I was tasked, actually, Simon, and no disrespect to you, but actually the police were tasking me, the search advisor, the pollster on the scene.
What a disgrace what the police has been doing here. So we see him signal superiority. He's leaning back. He's putting his chin up, dominance. And we see anger here, yeah? He's showing his teeth. We see an eye glare. So here's this woman from the police reads a statement from the family shortly after she was found, which I find remarkable. Let's listen to a small bit.
We tried last night to take in what we have been told in the day, only to have Sky News and ITV making contact with us directly when we expressly asked for privacy. They again have taken it upon themselves to run stories about us to sell papers and increase their own profits. It is shameful they have acted in this way. Leave us alone now. Do the press and other media channels and so-called professionals not know when to stop? These are our lives and our children's lives. To those who genuinely helped and supported us privately, we thank you. The community support in St Michael's, friends, neighbours and strangers has been nothing short of comforting and heartwarming. Friends, you know who you are, thank you. Our hearts truly break for others who have missing loved ones. Keep that hope alive. Finally, Nikki, you are no longer a missing person. You have been found. We can let you rest now. We love you, always have and always will.
Here in the statement, the family accuses the public and the media for invading their privacy, but the incompetence of the police is not criticized, surprisingly. Most remarkable, however, is...
Nikki, you are no longer a missing person. You have been found. We can let you rest now.
So they just want to move on now and forget the whole thing without knowing the official cause of death. This is very, very surprising. There could still be foul play involved, and they don't want to know that. So in summary, we saw a gift-wrapped puzzle presented to the public, paired with a lot of incompetence by the police, basically begging the public to get involved. The strangest thing for me was said her partner was apparently never considered a suspect, even though statistically speaking, the partner is often the culprit. Also surprising, I thought, was that the body language channel, the behavior panel, quickly declared the partner is not a suspect, influencing public opinion from a point of authority, even though his interviews were riddled with red flags. So why is a media spectacle? First, an unresolved death, especially so mysterious and public, involving a mom, creates instability and fear in the public. Even I felt confused at the very beginning when I started hearing about this case. It's kind of public trauma, and a traumatized public gets weak and is more easily influenced and manipulated. Second, people on social media, especially on TikTok, and people walking around in a potential crime scene caused outrage, also it was not sealed off, and calls were heard on the media to censor social media. So similar to what was going on over the last 3 years, we see the government seeking control and just looking for reasons to do it. A conspiracy theorist might even say they create false flag events, so they create a problem and then sell a solution to their benefit. Also, Nicola has been buried now. We still don't know the outcome of the autopsy, creating further speculation. There will be a full investigation with an inquest held in June, and there might also be recommendations on how to deal with social media in such cases in the future. So I hope you found my little update and analysis interesting. And if you have any more information, please put it in the comment section below. As usual, thank you for watching, and I talk to you next time. Bye.